Thank you for joining us for our very first monthly VIM. That's a very important member to you, highlight interview, and our first attempt at creating a podcast for EchoVets. I'm Charli Rae Dawg, i.e., Charly Starsider, and we are broadcasting, okay, maybe recording this interview from our new podcast slash radio station here on the new Gateway Sim. It's in the air, but if anyone wants a tour, please let me know because I would love to show it off. I am so pleased to sit down with our first victim, I mean volunteer, for this monthly feature, Murbella Reven, a supporter since. Oh, I need to add, I forgot to ask you that. How long, what year or month did you join EchoVets?
Approximately um, around around COVID. It was around 2020, I
Okay.
think. I'm not really sure. Kind of lost track of time in SL as usual. I
I'm just
think
going to
I've
say 2020.
okay.
Okay, then I'll pick up where I left off. A supporter since 2020 and helpful volunteer for our supporters group. I hope you enjoy getting to know Bella as much as I have. Welcome, Bella, and thank you so much for joining me and helping us christen our new studio.
Oh, thank you so much, Charlie. Thank you for inviting me here. And I find Echo Vets very refreshing and reminds me of what I've been doing for many years in the military community.
Well, let's get into that a little bit. First of all, congrats on being chosen as our October's featured VIM, very important member. Tell us how you discovered EchoVets and what made you want to join our group.
I was I have a family here in SL that we are a dance troupe, and we are multi languages, so mostly English and Spanish group. Um, I had a connection with another vet group in SL that I lost track of. We wanted to raise some funds for veterans in SL for real life, for a real life charity. And we were coming up to um, Veterans Day, and having a couple of the dancers and choreographers being vets themselves, I thought it would be a great chance to give to people that, brothers and sisters that they have served with. And I dropped on a sim and ran into a veteran who said, "Oh, well, you need to get a hold of Stacy," and brought me to Stacy. And Stacy was actually building this sim for Echo
Oh, the
Vets.
new sim?
The new sim. This not the sim, not the welcome area, the other sim that's
Okay.
connected. So I met Stacy there while she was building that one year, and I told her how my family here are either military family, they're either veterans themselves, have PCS, permanent change of station, and we wanted to give back to our community since some of us have no longer I'm married to a veteran, and I kind of miss being a part of that community that was such a large part of my life.
Oh, I can imagine. And that is amazing. I love watching dance troupes and dance shows here in SL. How amazing is it that you do so much charity work? And I really hope that you can perform for us here at EchoVets really soon once the troop gets up and going again, because we would love to showcase your troop and bring some fabulous entertainment to our vets here on EchoVets. I also think it's really cool to think about, doing charity work and giving back and I also often think about people who can't get out and do that in real life for whatever reason, whether it's they're too busy or they have mobility issues. They can come into SL and still be incredibly active with volunteering and give back to our troops, to our veterans, to anyone really. It's one of the coolest things that I love about SL. What's your favorite thing about EchoVets?
I've met so many people, and they're so supportive of each other. And SL, you never know when you're going to run into. You know, you exploring the grid, being in this realm, you never know who you're going to run into. Some are good and some are bad, but since I've come to the Echo Vet, it has been a group of people, and you see how much they care. And that's what I grew up with. You know, you
Mhm.
help your fellow person, you help your neighbor. And this is the whether it be man or, a soldier, male, female, being in the service, they all have similar experiences just as much as a spouse does.
Mhm.
And um, when you go through your life and you've lived in the military community for so long, you tend to miss it when you're out sometimes. So
I hear you there.
I've really enjoyed my volunteer work with the military while my husband was deployed because I thought, the only way I'm going to understand the military is literally volunteering. So I
Mhm.
volunteered with the Red Cross for many years through every post I was at. I volunteered with the Army Community Center, well, ACS, Army Community Services, but I learned a lot volunteering in the
What
clinics.
types
I'm sorry.
I am, I never really got the experience of actually living on a base. I was married to two vets. I was married to one active duty, but I didn't know. I was so young. I didn't realize what all there was to do and get involved with. And actually, until I met you, I didn't know about that ACS group. So, what types of things would they do?
Well, depending on the posts and of course funding, volunteers when you volunteer, you actually assist the government in doing services that, there's not enough money given to the community to to thrive. So the volunteers are not taking jobs, they're actually assisting their community so it
Wow.
functions better. I mean, for an example, we went through two wars, Afghanistan and Iraq. And as I was volunteering with the Red Cross and the ACS, I was a part of the Army Family Team Building. So our job was to inform the new incoming spouses what's available on post. And because during the war, Army Family Team Building, we also reached out to the Reserve and Guard because now they've been activated. So it was for us to go out and teach. We would hold classes in these buildings throughout the post to show families, and even soldiers would come to understand what exactly was there for their family while they were deployed. It was to build a team to help relieve commanders because so much, not only are they getting ready to deploy and deal with real world situation, but they are also responsible for the families of their soldiers and their sailors and the Marines. I mean, we literally tried to take care of our community.
Wow, that is incredible. And I can't believe I had no idea about that.
And
Thank you for, how many years were you a volunteer for ACS?
for close to almost 20 years.
Wow.
And
Well, thank you.
another thing with being a volunteer on or within a military community, um, we also create programs for the community. Some of them are military families and military spouses, military children, but there are also veterans that volunteer to actually serve their community that they were part of.
Wow.
We created there are programs called the Dental Assistant Program, which I was actually a part of one at one post to help the commander build that program. And what
Oh,
would
so are you saying that they can get a certification and then take that into convert that into like a job?
yes, there
Oh,
is
that is
cert
incredible.
there are certain things that you would be required to do according to the regulations and laws of that state and of course the military. But after you would be taught a skill in whatever office or department, if there was a certification afterwards, you would get taught through each practical and theory and practice And then you would donate so much time with the military in that particular clinic, in that particular field, and then you can take your state certification.
Wow. I had no idea. This is like very amazing. Like I'm sure you changed lives with the work that you all did with ACS. That's amazing.
I and with the Red Cross as well, because they were
And
part
with
of,
Red Cross, of
yes.
course.
Um, it was important for me because I was that wife that was lost when I was a new mom and the husband was deployed and communication wasn't that fast back then. It wasn't that far ago, like that
Mhm.
far in the past, but it's still, they were still having where we had VTCs, video teleconferences set up. We didn't have Skype to use. So
Oh,
it was, I needed to do something and I needed to make sure I was home. So
yeah,
my husband knew that his wife and child was home waiting for him when he came back.
right.
Yes.
Wow. That had to be very, that had to feel very lonely at times, but it's so inspiring that you used that, that time and said, what can I do to make this better for others as well? So I'm so impressed by you. I think that's amazing.
I had a great mother who taught me that when you're in a community, you help your community. We're
Mhm.
not here
Amen
alone.
to that.
Yes,
Amen. And that's kind of the whole point of EchoVets Band of Brothers, both in real life and in SL, is that community and camaraderie and, having people that have your back.
exactly.
So let's turn the table a tiny bit and talk a little bit more about what else you do at NSL with all your extra time, right? Tell us about, hobbies, family, do you work in SL? What are some of your favorite things to do?
Well, we did talk about that. I'm one of the founding members of a dance troupe. Our group is multicultural and language. We some of the troupe speaks English, some of the troupe speaks Spanish, and we get together to talk with translators sometimes, and we have some bilingual speakers
Wow.
as well. Fantastic group of people that I have met in SL that I've only been in SL for about a little over 6 years. When
Mm.
I first joined, I met a gentleman that kind of just said, "Okay, you're my daughter," and I was like, "Okay, well, this is a little weird, but I'll go with it." And he kind of was very protective because SL's got a lot of different avenues of with it that I was not really prepared coming from a different platform of gaming. This is not gaming, and I never understood it until I was here and listening to people and realized how much I could do in SL as well of creating, developing, texturing, trying to learn how to build. It was to me it was real important. And I fell apart a little bit for he dropped off SL for a little bit because of RL, and I ran into another guy who kind of adopted me, and he speaks Spanish, mostly only Spanish. So he was a great mentor. Told me, you need to come in and just have fun in here. Don't worry about, you know, the random drop-ins that come in sometimes when you're just sitting there trying to build. He says just he's always about laugh, love, and fun in SL, never to cause drama. And we literally build in the 5 years I've known him, build a strong bridge of a communication because translators are not perfect, and when we know that it's not something in 5 years that we developed that friendship, um, he's known that me being a military wife, have lived in the military community, he's very supportive. So he always has parties at his club. But what we started to do, especially right before COVID hit, is language classes.
Oh,
And when we have done several shows for different charities, we were a bilingual show. And I have been contacted by several of the presidents of different charities saying that was the first time they had in English and Spanish. show.
Oh.
And we were touched because we couldn't understand how this was not a thing. And we've done Relay for Life as a family. And one of the things I mentioned to the Relay for Life is, why isn't there anything in here that speaks Spanish? Because everything is in English, not everyone reads English.
Mm.
And I said it would be really great if we have, because that's my other connection here is the Hispanic and Latino community. And it's, to me, it'd be very important to reach out to them. So I love their zest for life and
Mhm.
everything. And this I call him father. Um, he when COVID hit, I told him again, you know, our community is SL. We need help here. People
Mhm.
are scared. In our lifetime, we've never dealt with a pandemic. He offered me some land at mainland and he said, okay, what do you need? I said, I would like to build a resource room for help for people. But
Mm.
my family in SL is all over, all over.
All over the
And
world, right? Mhm.
literally from Argentina, Chile, Brazil, Peru, um, yeah, I've got some in Italy, in Spain, Portugal, and I'm like, okay, how do we reach these people? So I did everything I could with my resources with the Red Cross to try to get multi-language information for resources for the community worldwide. I tried my best as in the amount of time I had. And
Mhm.
for me, it's just falling on, you know, that habit or that thrive to make sure my community is doing well.
Mhm.
But
You know what though?
I'm sorry.
What you just described to me about what you did for COVID, especially now when we think back to how we all felt at the beginning of COVID and how we weren't getting many answers, you were doing more at that time in SL than most of our government officials were doing in RL. So I think that's just so inspiring.
My Spanish father, he got as much information about COVID he could, so people would have information, proper information. And he had a party at his club.
Wow,
And he had
that's incredible.
information in both English and in Spanish. And he had people there that could actually answer questions
Wow.
because they
I
had
can't wait to meet
profession.
him someday.
Actually, I think your XO knows him.
Oh, really?
Yes, his name is Nuntolder. He's a good man.
Oh, I'll have to ask him. I would love to have him come over sometime. And actually, as you were talking, you were making me think like we really need to do a better job. I don't want to say better job because we're just still learning our way here, but we need to spend some energy focusing on how we can pull, more, different diversity and different demographics to EchoVets. People who don't maybe speak English or speak English as a first language. What can we do to entice them to come? Absolutely love the idea of the Spanish classes. I would 100% sign up for that for myself. I've been wanting to learn for years. And maybe if we can offer some things like that here at Echo Vets, we could even grow our community by more. And if we can bring more diversity to Echo Vets, it's just going to enrich us.
Well, I did bring it to Stacy one time. We just weren't able to kick it off, and I would really still love to do that. We Because a lot of our soldiers, their families don't always speak completely English. I mean, I knew when I married my husband, his parents didn't speak English very well. They
Mm.
only spoke Spanish. So here is a veteran, a U.S. a U.S. service member whose parents didn't understand when notices were going home and letters were going home from the U.S. Army. And I would have
Oh,
to explain
wow.
that to them. So definitely, I think it would be a bonus on language classes. So we would just, even if it's not just Spanish, but Spanish is a very large community.
Hmm. Well, I'm going to put a shameless plug in here for our next monthly supporter group meeting. It's going to be next Wednesday, October 11th at 6 p.m. at the ski lodge. You're very good at coming to these meetings. I'm going to throw it out there to our listeners. Please come. Let's, let's bring that up during the meeting, and let's make some, action plans, and let's make a plan for how we can do that and make that happen. I think we're at the point in maturity now that we can do that. And I'm really excited to partner with you and anyone you can get to help us to make that happen, Bella.
That would be great. I would love to help as much as I can.
So I'm running out, we're getting to the end, but I want to throw something fun in here. So I'm going to throw you a little twister here of a question. Tell us something that nobody knows about you.
I can write upside down and backwards with either left or right hand. I can do both.
Tell me how one comes to to gain that skill. I'm dying to know.
I've been drawing since I was a little girl. I was naturally to use my left hand, and that time in school, I was told I was not allowed to use my left hand and I had to use my right hand. So one day I said, Mom, I guess I got to use my right hand. So I decided to make things difficult for the teachers and start writing upside down and backwards on them.
Wow. I My mind is boggled. I said this to you before, but I've never met anyone who can do that with one hand, let alone two. So I think that qualifies as a superpower and you should probably get a cape. Oh my gosh, Bella, I have so enjoyed our time together here. I think everything we talked about pretty much sums up all the important things there is to being happy and successful, both in SL and in real life. It's all anyone really needs to get through it. Um, I know this is all the time we have. I wish we could keep talking for hours. I could talk to you for, you're a very fascinating person to me. I'd like to thank you once again for being so willing to be open and open up about your experiences, both in real life and SL. I hope this interview helps our members know you better. I know I sure do. The whole objective of our supporters group is to show who we are behind these adorable avatars. We're real people, we have real lives and issues, and we're so much better off when we can connect to each other in meaningful ways, even in little ways like this and fun ways. I hope to see more and more members at our supporter group meetings. The next one is next Wednesday, as I said, October 11th at 6 p.m. SLT at the ski lodge. I'm sure, I'll be sending out a few more notices between now and then, I'm sure. And really, that meeting is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we brainstorm. This is where we plan and get volunteers and create all these amazing monthly events that we're doing. We always could use more help. We could use five more of you, Bella. You've been so helpful to us. Again, thank you so, so much. And thank you to our listeners for joining us and helping us christen our new podcast. Have a great day.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you, everybody. It's been an honor.